You've read every spiritual and self-help book that's been recommended to you. You watch all the greatest speakers, yet the change that you're after doesn't eventuate. Why is that the case? Today, we're going to look at why gathering knowledge does not necessarily equate to the changes that we so desire. There is a misconception that knowledge leads to change, and self-knowledge, self-awareness can bring about the kinds of modifications that we need to make in our lives to see them improve. But so often that isn't the case. And I can speak for myself that I've been on this path personally, that I've spent a good 10 plus years reading every book that I could get my hands on that inspired me, that gave me some amazing perspective on understanding the nature of reality and myself. Yet I would say that the changes that I've seen unfold in my life didn't really come about until I came across the first therapy that I trained in that embodied changes through having experiences, through having a meditative or pseudo kind of hypnotic experience that created a shift on a deeper level for me. Yet when I was reading all of these books and feeling super inspired, I really had convinced myself that those changes would start to play out now that I had a better understanding of things. And it took me quite a while to figure out that it wasn't just happening the way that I thought it would. And I'm also guilty of offering therapies in my line of work as a psychologist that have, at face value, benefit, that strategies and mindfulness, etc., do have a benefit. Don't get me wrong. Those types of experiences or self-awareness practices and experiences do play a role in change, but not necessarily at the level that I would hope with my clients. And so, as I said a moment ago, it was only really when I came across a therapy known as the Richards trauma process, created by a lady here in Australia by the name of Judith Richards, that I was opened up to the power of experiential work, and was able to really have the type of experience that would shift things for me that I could see in my life. Tangible changes that spun out of these experiences, these meditative experiences, and saw substantial change. Prior to that, I thought I would see the change and believed I would, but did not really see it. And this was the first time that I actually had this moment where I was with my kids. I, much to my, shame, would get frustrated with little things at times. My kids spilling something, and I might have an initial reaction of frustration, like, just go grab something and clean it up, and say that in a bit of an exasperated tone of voice. And this particular moment where the same sort of thing happened after doing this work, having this therapy applied to myself, that I just noticed I was very calm, non-reactive, and calmly and gently invited my children, or my child I should say, to clean up the mess they'd made, which was something I'd always wanted to practice, and was disappointed with myself every time that I slipped and would speak in a frustrated or disrespectful tone. I didn't want to be like that. Yet there was something deeper going on in my programming, in my subconscious, that took me back to that patterning. So this leads to one of the main reasons that knowledge is not enough, because there are subconscious beliefs and subconsciously stored emotions that will self-sabotage and make it hard for those changes to take place. I will place a link in this video to the video I recorded previously, which was all about working with parts that self-sabotage. So you can refer to that video if you'd like to know more about parts, protective parts and wounded parts that can be addressed using a number of different approaches, but my favourite being the internal family systems approach. So that's one of the main reasons that it doesn't work, that these subconscious and unconscious aspects have not been dealt with, and you need to have an experience in order for those aspects to shift, not just thoughts. A lot of talk therapy is about thinking and understanding, and even having amazing epiphanies to kind of wake us up to seeing why we've been the way we've been. It's really cool when it happens, but invariably, I've experienced it myself and I've seen it in my clients, it doesn't translate. Not enough anyway. To some extent, I'm again not denying that insight, self-awareness, knowing thyself does not have a benefit. It does. It does play a role. But in my humble opinion, I would say the changes are far more subtle from inside alone compared to having experiences that shift things at a deeper subconscious level. And the second area that I feel we fall down, and this second point could be applied without the first one, without doing the subconscious work potentially, but certainly made easier by doing the subconscious work, is to put small changes into action consistently, repeatedly. So taking committed action that aligns with the version of yourself that you seek to be. Not just once, not twice, but in an ongoing kind of a way. And in my experience, it helps to focus on one thing at a time, or a couple of small things at a time, to lock in to your routine, to your weekly patterns and habits, rather than trying to change a whole bunch of things all at once. And again, I think a lot of us have the greatest intentions when we maybe make up a great schedule for ourselves and think we're going to make all these amazing changes to our diet, our exercise, our meditation, etc., and try and do it all in one hit, and invariably it falls over. In my experience, if we pick one or two things to change and just focus in on committing to that change no matter what, we're far more likely to see the long-lasting change that we're seeking to make in our life. For me, I knew the benefit of meditating every day, Yet before, again, doing the deeper work on myself, I would slip out of it. My mind would just come in with excuses, prioritize other things, tell me I was too tired, etc., that there were other things that were more important. Exercise, yes, but meditation was optional. And it was only when, again, I dug in a bit deeper, worked with the aspects of myself that were self-sabotaging, so that certainly cleared the path for me, and then committed. And it started very small. 10-minute meditations was all that I was doing to start with, but every day. Well, it didn't start every day, actually. It started with 3 times a week. No matter what, I'm doing at least 3 10-minute meditations a week. And then grew from there and got to the point where it just became not optional at all. And it's now built to the point where over time I've been able to add morning and lunch, evening meditations. Yeah, still not as consistent as I'd like them. They're not non-negotiable, but my morning meditation, it's non-negotiable. It's pretty much every day it'd have to be some major disruption for me not to do my morning meditation. And that commitment is me loving myself enough to stick to that. And I think that's an important way to look at committed action. It's making a promise to yourself and keeping it no matter what. No matter what thoughts come up, no matter what feelings come up, that you're worth sticking to that commitment to yourself. The same way if you made a promise to someone that you really cared about, we generally endeavour to stick to that promise. So often though, when we make a promise to ourselves, we say, oh well, doesn't matter. It's only me. I'm not letting anyone else down. Well, what is that saying to yourself? That is saying that everyone else is more important to you and you don't respect yourself enough to stick to that commitment to yourself. So that's why it's important to start small, to start achievable, so that you don't try to make commitments to yourself that are really going to be hard to stick to. And bit by bit, committed action and doing the deeper work subconsciously on your wounded parts, on your protective parts that have gotten a bit over the top. The combination of those two, in my humble opinion, leads to the type of thriving life that so many of us desire to have. So, in conclusion, I would suggest to you to stop trying to learn more. You don't have to learn more to make change. And start by committing to yourself, committing to the little things, the small things. A walk, a meditation, time in nature, stillness, a change in what you put in your body, drinking that bit more water, and commit to it. And before you know it, you've got the hang of it, and you know that you can apply it to anything. Because you're worth it. Thank you.